Don't make deals or negotiate with people. I also see this with chiropractors sometimes. We like to, make deals, maybe make special deals and negotiate. And you know what ends up happening? You've got a practice that you cannot manage anymore because you got all these different people on different deals and different plans, and they've all negotiated with, and it's impossible for you to grow and scale that business.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business, so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast, Chiropractic's #1 business podcast. Hey, I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And we are super stoked. It is Thursday afternoon, and we are in the studio, excited to lay down. We're going to do a couple episodes today. So the first one is actually the 5th one in an awesome series. Hopefully you guys have been listening to the entire series. Maybe this is the 6th one, right? So we're talking about all 5 domains of your practice and your business, looking for what is the primary constraint in the business, what's choking off the growth in your business or in your practice. It's an awesome conversation. Holy diagnostic, right? Like being able to get up under the hood. Today's conversation is one of the most interesting and one of the most popular topics because we're going to talk about money, right? So, Dr. Pete, we know that it takes 4 things to be a remarkable business, right? So you got to have a remarkable purpose, and you have to have a remarkable product, you have to have remarkable people, and you got to make a remarkable profit, right? So profit, no purpose. So we're going to have a money conversation here today. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's such a disruptor. People have such a problem with money. People either are like totally enamored by money and they're just focused on the money, or people are just terrified of money or have a total broken money blueprint. And they're like, oh, I'm about love and service on the people. I'm not about the money. Oh my gosh, can we fix this? Because ultimately, no profit, no purpose, no money, no mission. If you are serious about chiropractic taking its rightful position in healthcare, we need money, guys. We need money, and you need money. You need money to expand and grow your reach, increase your reach into your community, into the world, and be able to help more people, right? So it takes money to market. It takes money to hire a world-class team. It takes money to deliver an incredible product and experience, right? So, and by the way, you should be paid handsomely. Money follows value, and you add such huge value to your patient's life. You create such opportunity for the people that get to work with you and for you. Dr. Pete, I'm excited about today's conversation. Let's fix this problem because it is such a choke point. It's such a bottleneck. It's such a gap for so many of our awesome chiropractors out there.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this episode. In this series that we've been doing, we've been kind of like dripping it out, and you guys have been journeying along with us if you've been journeying with us, and we're finally at the money episode. If you're just tuning in now, the series is a great series. It started probably 6 or 7 weeks ago because we've had a few other episodes we've also integrated into our series during the series as well. Not to pardon the interruption, but there's just other things we sometimes will want to slide into a series. Anyway, so this is the 6th episode, as you said. We did an initial episode. We went through an overview. This is the money one. So one of the things we said at the beginning was there's one primary constraint in each one of the domains, and your goal is to find the one thing. And so in your business, it's designed to produce results across these domains. And so there's one thing that you could identify. What would it be? Today, we're going to actually hit on two things on the money side. And one of them might apply to some of you and the other one might apply to the others. Hopefully this applies to everyone because there's always a room for improvement. And we're going to share some examples of this as well. But our thesis really of this entire series is that you don't have a time problem. You don't have a people problem or a money problem. You have a constraint problem. That's what we've said. It's the constraint. And the constraint is the thing that's the primary constraint, which is everything else is the noise. This is the thing. If you were able to silence that, it fixes everything else. Like that's what we're going to do here today in this money episode. So like you said, Dr. Stephen, our businesses are, it's an exchange of value. The money that you provide or that you receive in exchange for the services provided, the value you provide. So we're going to go upstream from what we would say the downstream issue is. The downstream issue is that you don't have enough revenue, let's just say. Okay, you want to grow your revenue. So let's say that's the issue. So how do we solve it? We got to go upstream. So there's a money constraint. So we're going to go upstream. We talk about throughput and output. So if you look at the 5 domains, attraction leads to conversion, leads to retention, retention leads to revenue, right? And the team is at the center of that whole process. So this is the downstream domain. So we're going to look upstream and figure out, okay, where are the money conversations happening? Where are the money exchanges happening? Where is there opportunities upstream in the throughput that drives this output called revenue, and then profit, which would be even further downstream. So we're going to dig in today. And I want to start with sharing a story because I had a doc who I've been just working with recently, and she's a world-class leader, incredibly intelligent doctor. And we went into the initial conversations really looking at the business model and the money models, and we realized that there was money that was to be generated, and it wasn't being generated because we weren't either charging for services or we just weren't even delivering services that should have been delivered in a chiropractic plan. So we immediately integrated progress exams, progress reports, which weren't being done, and we started charging for the x-rays at the re-exam, period. Just that. We found those 2 gaps in a business, which was a very successful business, 7-figure practice. We found those 2 things, and we immediately increased the value of just the initial plan by $400. We did other things to increase value on the wellness plans as well, which I'm not going to get to right now. But this is the conversation that we want to have, Dr. Stephen, because you can have a very successful business and you realize, man, we're missing this. Our model, we have a pricing issue, we have a money model issue, and that's what we found. It was a money model issue in a practice, successful practice, that's now going to be, think about the implications of that over the next 12 months. If you start an average of 10 people a month, that's just that revenue alone. You're talking about adding an extra $125,000 in revenue to that business in a year, just by one small little tweak, which nobody will even notice, barely makes a difference. But that's going to lead to significant changes in that business's earning potential with changing nothing else. Just that, 2 things. So, Dr. Stephen, that's what this conversation is about. There's money to be found. There's constraints in your business, and our goal today is to help you identify the constraint.
That's right, Dr. Beat. So we're going to drill down on 2 usual suspects, right? So there's lots of places, and we've covered this in an episode we did a couple. If you really want to go deeper on, or I should say broader and deeper on the subject matter, you can look back. You can listen to the episode that we did on found money. Right? This money hiding all over your practice, right? So go find it, right? So when we highlighted things like charge for the services that you're already delivering. Yes, if you're not charging for things that you should be charging. In other words, you're just including things, comping things, just not charging for them. And then there's a pricing question, which is you're not charging enough for the things that you're doing, right? So it's like looking across the arc of the experience and figuring out if you have a pricing issue. And then talking about money models. So how do you structure your money model? So your price is what do people pay, and the money model is how do they pay, right? So those are the 2 that we're really going to drill down on today, is the pricing issue and the money model. Those are the 2 most common, issues, or the usual suspects, right? We call them, right? So we also talked about bundling. How do you bundle, which increases not only revenue, but just looking at it from a lifetime value perspective. It's like bundling your services in such a way as how that drives just better stick and better revenue, increasing your volume. So many of you are just at a volume where it's like you've got a volume issue. In other words, your volume is not keeping pace with your overheads, right? You're just seeing enough volume to cover your overheads, and anything, most of the overheads in a small business are fixed overheads, right? So it's like, if you just would grow, you would grow, and so much more of that grow. You get outsized profit margin from the growth over covering your overheads, like if you would just grow. So many of you have just a volume issue. And then there's adding profit centers. There's other goods and services that are aligned with what we do as chiropractors, that we said it's not about the offering, it's about the positioning. If you learn how to position them properly and keep the main thing, you can actually bump up your profit and your profit margin significantly by adding those profit centers. So that's an incredibly effective way. It's a challenging way to do it, and you've got to do this well, right? So you got to do this, get deftly, right? So we teach you exactly how to do that in that episode. And then finally, it's decreasing overheads, right? So, or relative overheads. So many of you are just operating below capacity, and you have bloated overheads. So much your labor costs are out of line. You don't know what your revenue per employee is, et cetera. We had an interesting conversation with Dr. Josiah from Lucro. And looking back at their report that just came out, the State of the Industry report, one number that really struck me was that the average chiropractor in the U.S. is operating at only 63% of its capacity, right? So think about that. You're leaving, 37% of the potential, revenues, on, just leaving that on the table. Guess what? So much more of that would, that 37% is where your profit's going to live, right? So because it's not going to be a lot more, it's not going to be parallel overheads associated with that, right? So if you would just grow to your potential, 60, just think about that. My gosh, there's so much revenue and so much profit just being left on the table just on performance, right? So I find that very encouraging, right? I find that energizing. There's so much room to grow, Dr. Pete. So today's conversation is really going to be about two things: pricing, and we're talking about money models. And before we get into the guts of this, what I want to make sure you guys understand is we're here for you. Any of these episodes, if you listen to this whole series, what you're going to hear is like, man, as we go from domain to domain, we talk about attraction and marketing. We talk about conversion or sales. We talk about retention or delivery. We talk about your team or your people. And then today we're talking about collections or your money. Wherever your constraint is, that's what's choking off the growth of your practice. Your practice wants to grow. It's its natural state. And this constraint is a bottleneck that's keeping you from going to the next level. You address this constraint and your practice is pulled to the next level. This is the first domino. We're telling you, it's like, I know all of you are thinking like, oh, you just said 5 domains. I got 5 problems. It's like, yeah, but you can't chase 2 rabbits. Never mind 5. So the theme of this is let's chase that one rabbit. Let's slay that one dragon. And Dr. Pete, if they need help with these, like if you're hearing this and like, man, I got this problem and it's like, I don't know what to do about it, jump on a call with us. We are very happy. There's a link in here in the show notes somewhere you can jump on a call and we'll talk to you about your practice, your business. We'll help you get clear on what is that primary constraint and we'll help you map the gap for you. Like here's an action plan for what you should be doing to slay that dragon, right? So we are here for you. There's a link down here. You can set up a free coaching call with us and we'll talk that down specifically as it pertains to your practice. Right now, we are laying out the concepts. We're giving you examples. We're illustrating how this shows up in our clients. We coach hundreds of chiropractors on how to overcome these things. And it's amazing when you do take care of that bottleneck, when you do slay that dragon, that these practices get pulled to the next level. We want to help you do that.
Yeah, so we use a tool, Dr. Steven, that a lot of people don't necessarily realize. We created the impact calculator, which enables us to identify exactly where it is and to the dollar, like how you can impact this. So again, speaking to this meeting, if that's something that you need help with, like we will calculate it literally for you while we're with you, and we will show you exactly where it is, how much it is, and help you solve it. And like you said, Dr. Steven, we're in the business of saving lives. Like we are wholeheartedly committed to helping as many people get under regular chiropractic care as possible. So we know that your care plans need to meet the 3 Ps. Litmus test meaning they need to be purposeful, they need to be profitable, they need to be possible. So we recognize that there's a template, there's a framework, there's a rule that we are always going to operate under, right? So the goal is that we would help more people get regular chiropractic care because our product, you talked about the 4 Ps, we have a remarkable product, chiropractic care. And we recognize that, chiropractic care, it's best when it's consumed as a lifestyle success strategy. Right? So it's designed for healthy human beings to keep people healthier because the longer you're healthy, the healthier you'll be. So the model is not just about getting people in the door, getting them some high-ticket item, high-ticket care plan, and then move on to the next one and just replacing people. We're talking about a continuity business model. We're talking about hitting people at every stage in the journey, supporting them throughout the arc of their life so that they can get this care. So just recognize, like, there's so many levels of this that we're navigating right now with the bundling of services, the outing of value centers. Like, there's finding money. Like I gave a great example just at the beginning here of a successful doctor. It's like, wow, I'm not doing this, not doing that. We just found an extra $125,000 in revenue if nothing changed in the next 12 months just by doing that. Like the reality is a lot of the times it just comes from, Dr. Steven, this is you, me talking shop. We just don't take the time to look at it. We just don't spend the time to look at our business, analyze it, really sit with it, marinate it, analyze it. Dr. Josiah, 63%. That means 37% of untapped potential. That's like a new patient coming in your office and saying, our job is to help unlock your full health potential. Our job as coaches, our job in this podcast is to unlock your full health potential, your business's full health potential, right? So we want to unlock that. And this last piece, man, again, you said there's a lot of subluxations here. There's broken belief systems. There's all sorts of trauma and issues going on deeper and below the surface. But these are 2 practical ones, Dr. Steven, the pricing and the money model. Let's get these right. Yes.
All right. So what I want you guys to be looking across is the arc of all your services, right? So let's look at every step in your process is a service, and are you charging for it, and how much are you charging for it? And what we see is just there's an opportunity for you to incrementally increase each and every step in your process in such a way that the cumulative effect of that is extraordinary, right? So it's like it's going to be extraordinary for you because it compounds across such a multiplier of all these cases, right? All these patients. So look at your day 1 process, your day 2 process, your day 3 process. Like how are you charging? What are you charging for your day 1 new patient consultation and examination, right? So check yourself on that. Do you know what the market bears for, so like we have clients that are doing $49 examinations, and we have clients that are doing $490 examinations and everything in between. And it's amazing to me. There's wild disparity, right? And there's like the process is almost exactly the same, and people are seeing almost exactly the same number of new patients. So whatever you're telling yourself, these limiting beliefs you're telling yourself, like, not in my town, well, not in my community, well, all the other chiropractors, all those stories that you're telling yourself, you know that those are just stories, right? And you've got yourself totally convinced, right? So we have eyes into hundreds of chiropractic offices. We're telling you, it is the Wild West, right? So, but I'll tell you, I can almost guarantee you to a person, you're undercharging, right? So you're undercharging. And until you have a whole bunch of people just saying, what? No, I'm not going to do it. You're undercharging, right? So you're just upset if like one person doesn't want to pay for your day 1. You're like, oh, we must be charging so much. Let's reduce our prices. Don't be terrified of people being like, yeah, no, I'm not going to pay that, right? So that's a value issue. That's not a pricing issue, right? So focus on increasing the value and watch what happens, right? So most likely you can be charging more in your new patient process. And then looking at your collection visit average, right? So what are you charging for a collection visit average? Like if we were to look across your CVA, which is your total collections over a given time period, let's call it a month, divided by the total number of visits in that month. That's your CVA, your collection visit average. And right now, coming out of that Lucro report, the national average was 60 to 64. There's regional variances as there are in all things, right? So, but are you somewhere between $60 and $64 for a collection visit average? Of course, this is for the chiropractic centric, adjusting centric practice. That's what we're talking about right now, right? So tease out, what does it cost? Listen to me. To be a chiropractic patient, right? So if you're doing other things, functional, or you're doing decompression, or you're doing weight loss, or you're doing all these other things, that's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about is being a chiropractic patient, right? So ask yourself, if the average is 62 to 64, are you average? Are you below average? Like, is your service below average? Is your experience below average? Is your adjustment below average? Is the care that you deliver below average? Are the results that you deliver below average? Are you below average? No, why are you charging below average, right? So are you a discount chiropractor? Because guess what? You don't want to be in that space because the joint's going to beat you, right? So no, you have to ask yourself, am I pricing according to the experience and the outcomes that our patients are getting, right? So check yourself on your collection visit average. When it comes to your products, cost of goods should be marked up, right? So you should mark up your cost of goods sold 2 to 3 times. So 200% to 300%. So it's a 2x to 3x markup. So if you're selling a pill, you buy it for $50, it should be 2 to 3 times markup of cost of goods sold, right? So 2 times 50 would be 100, 3 times 50 would be 150. That would be a 200 to 300% markup. That's for products. Cost of goods sold, 2x to 3x. Or services. If you're doing services, it's cost of services delivered, or COSD, with a 50 to 60% margin. 50 to 65% margin. That's a target. That's a remarkable standard, right? So cost of goods sold, and the cost of goods sold for a chiropractic adjustment, for example, is number 1, paying the chiropractor for the adjustment, paying the tech CA if they're involved, and then whatever consumables are there, like face paper, wink, it's very little, right? So, and then the cost to swipe the credit card. That's cost of services delivered, COSD, which is the equivalent to COGS, cost of goods sold, in a product-centric environment. It's COSD in a service-centric environment, right? So 50 to 65% margin, profit margin, for a markup on cost of services delivered, and then educate and tie everything to the clinical outcome. That's the key to this, right? So what you have to recognize is that when you are selling somebody a product or you're selling them a service, the key to be able to charge those prices above and beyond if they were like picking up that pillow at a drugstore is the fact that you actually educate the patient and you're able to create value, right? So many of you this is where you're losing money, is because you are not taking the time and the intention to be very deliberate about educating the patient and building value. So you've forgotten more about wellness than most people will ever learn, right? So you have to step in as the expert and flex that expert power muscle, which makes that pillow so much more valuable, which makes that particular fish oil so much more valuable. Because they can get fish oil down at Sam's Club for $8, right? But when they're buying fish oil in your office and it's $58, they're like, whoa, doc, I can get this down the street at the gas station for $8. And you're like, yeah, but the sourcing and the form of this fish oil is the precise type of fish oil that's optimal for what your cells expect and require, right? So this natural triglyceride form, the EPA and DHA levels, the reason that we carry this liquid is so that you can get not only the potency, but the dosage without having to take 38 capsules. You have to step in and be able to educate the patient to make sure that they're like, oh, I get it. This is why I should be taking this fish oil and getting it from you as opposed to the rancid fish oil I could buy at the gas station down the street. Dr. Pete, it's about expert power. Money follows value. And the way we establish value is we create value through education.
So there's a lot that just was covered there. So I just want to make sure everybody heard. So like, just pick any one of the things that Dr. Stephen, you just went through. And those are just a couple examples, like charging more for your day one. Like, what are you charging? And recognizing that, just so you guys know, like, we're looking at hundreds of practices all across the country, all around the world, and there is a massive disparity between what some people are charging and others. And so the reality is, you could be charging more and capturing more value for that, 100%. So that was it. And then looking at your collection visit average based on the national average of a chiropractic business, look at where yours is at. You know, if you're below that 60 to 64 range, and recognize that nationwide you are below the average. So you don't want to be below average. So that's simple adjustments here. But one of the things, Dr. Stephen, you talked about, and this would be really important for everybody here who sells products, everyone here who delivers services, is to recognize, is your margin, or are your margins 2 to 3x for the services or for the products, and 50 to 60% for your services? Like, do the math. You got to look at that and see, because if you want to be able to bring in great talent to be able to be a part of the team and to help you deliver the services, I'm talking about chiropractors, I'm talking about assistants who are helping with, other services and modalities maybe that you're integrating. You've got to make sure that you are compensating, particularly the doctors, well, anybody that's delivering services well. That's 100% needs to be done. So recognize that if you're losing people or not attracting or retaining the talent that you need and you want to be able to scale, to create that scalability, durability, turn that job into a business, just go right back to this. So again, you capturing more value means you can deliver more value, meaning that you can compensate and take better care of your people that work with you, which enables them to have a better life, which enables the whole economy to go around, and it all goes circular. It just keeps going around. The money just goes all the way around the circle. So recognize that's how that works. So a couple of things, Dr. Stephen, that you said that I think I want to double click on. And I see this a lot with the doctors that I train, whether it's associates or the CEOs, but the idea that, we get beat up in practice, right? You get beat up. It's easy. You get a couple of no's in a row and you start to be like, oh man, you get a little bit weak, and you go into your report of findings, you go into the re-exam, and you kind of start going in with a little hemming and hawing, you're not as certain, you lack your certainty, a little bit lower on the conviction, a little bit weaker on the clarity, and you walk in that room and you just don't deliver. And so what Dr. Stephen, you said was, you've got to go in there and be the expert. You've got to be the authority, have that certainty and that confidence. I'm not talking about ego. Right? I'm not talking about pride. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm saying be certain about the detrimental effects of what subluxation does when left undetected and uncorrected. Be clear about what happens if you stop getting adjusted over time. Be crystal clear about when you integrate this in your life, what the benefits long-term are going to be for you, your children, and their children. You've got to be clear. You've got to be convicted. You've got to be certain. And when you speak to someone with that level of conviction and certainty, when you're clear and you're convicted and you're certain about these things, you are the expert. People are going to just say, where do I need to go? Point me in the right direction. Where do I sign? Right? That's the difference. We always say it's problem, goal, path, plan. My recommendations are based on only two things: your goals, my clinical findings. When that is clear and that's done well, people are like, just point me in the right direction. Where do I need to go? And so you've got to look at how we've been doing with delivering that, with the initial and ongoing care. There's a concept of asking versus telling. And I would see this a lot, especially when I was training doctors in my own clinic, and you kind of sense like they're asking if this is going to be okay. And I was like, no, time out. We don't ask if that's going to be okay to come 3 times a week, or how's that going to work out for you. We already know it's not going to work out great. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be a sacrifice. It's going to be an investment. So we need to just give people direction. And that's what people need. They need to get solid direction from somebody, because they're about to invest their limited resources of time, energy, focus, and money into care, and that's going to be that's a significant investment for them, for any person. So they need to be told exactly what to do and how it's going to go, and then be held accountable to that. And then don't make deals or negotiate with people. I also see this with chiropractors sometimes. We like to, make deals, maybe make special deals and negotiate. And you know what ends up happening? You've got a practice that you cannot manage anymore because you got all these different people on different deals and different plans, and they've all negotiated with, and it's impossible for you to grow and scale that business. So I'm going to also challenge this group, anybody that's listening, clean that up. We got to get rid of all that. That is just, it's bad for business. It's off brand. It's not respectful for the people who actually are fully invested and truly committed. And you're decreasing your own worth and value. And so, you know what? If someone's not committed and not committed to following your recommendations and paying your fees, they're not ready. And they'll come back around when they're ready, and they will commit. And they're going to say, you know what? I'm thankful. I'm back, and I want to do your program. I want to follow your lead because I trust that you're the right person. Because you know what? You let me leave, and you didn't change and compromise what your value was. And I think that's really important for us as chiropractors because we want to help as many people as possible. Dr. Stephen, I know that's my heart, but man, you've got to hold the line.
So I think I want to stay with this pricing thing just another minute here because I know that people have so many hang-ups on this. I know a couple laws of the jungle, and one of my favorites are the people that pay the most attention. And I need people to sit with that for a second, right? Like you want patients to be committed, right? So, when you really get serious about what we're doing here, when you start thinking about the outcomes, the potential outcomes, the path forward for them, right? There's two lives ahead of them, right? There's the life of possibility and there's the life of probability. And not to be dramatic, but you're standing there and your report of findings and recommendations of care, this is a fork in that road. Like, do you feel that? Like, here's what I know to be true is like, to find certainty, you need to get your feet planted into the granite of your belief system. Don't overcomplicate this. Like at the end of the day, my feet are stuck to the floor. The granite I stand on is if these people would just do what I'm telling them to do, their life would get better. I am 100% convicted of that. When I'm speaking to somebody, whether it's a patient or a coaching client, I am only going to tell you what I know is going to drive a better outcome and a better experience for you. That's it. So I know my innermost dominant thought that I learned from John DeMartini, my innermost dominant thought is if these people would just do what I'll tell them to do, their life will get better. I know that. I have such conviction around that. And that's what the patients pick up on. Your conversion's a reflection of your conviction. So when you're giving your recommendations for care, your conversion will be a reflection of your conviction. So get real with that and get right with that. And when you just recognize it's like the outcomes, think about the value of your care. People aren't paying for care. Listen, and you're not charging for care. So let's remember something. You're not charging for the adjustment, right? The adjustment is the Heimlich maneuver for the nervous system. You don't charge for a Heimlich maneuver. Right? So why is a Heimlich maneuver invaluable? It's because what you're doing is you're removing interference to the flow of air in the body. And if you do not remove that flow of air, that's the result. The outcome is death. And for this manual, simple, but incredibly effective and brief experience, you can clear the airway and the life of possibility goes on, right? So if you do not deliver that maneuver, the probability is that person's dead. You are removing the blockage to the flow of life. Right. So I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I'm just like, hey, do you really own this? Like what you're doing with an adjustment? The chiropractic adjustment is the Heimlich maneuver for the nervous system. Do you own that? Like you're charging for an outcome, not a service. Right. So people will pay for the outcome and you need to get oriented to that. Right. So this is like there's two lives ahead of you, one that's subluxated and one that is free of subluxation. This is what you're selling. Right, so don't lose sight of that. So when it comes to your pricing, you need to be thinking about the potential life ahead of this person. They walk out subluxated or they walk out subluxation free. That's the decision. That's the fork in the road, Dr. Pete. And that's how you get your head right around your pricing model. So at the end of the day, what I know to be true is it's about give, love, and serve, right? BJ Palmer said it best. What is the key to becoming a successful chiropractor? You got to give, love, and serve, right? So let's talk about that. Right, so what is the price? What's the price we should charge for the chiropractic adjustment? Right? So what's it worth when you remove the interference to the expression of the innate potential of the human body? And when you remove the interference to the body's ability to express its health potential, to heal and experience health potential, what do you charge for that? what do you charge for a Heimlich maneuver? Right? So it's a ridiculous proposition. It's a ridiculous question. So you know what the truth is? We give the care away. You give the care away. It's priceless. Give, love, and serve. We give the care away. We love everyone, and we serve them with an education. It's an education that will shape and challenge their belief system. It'll change their belief system, and their belief system will organize their behaviors for life. So what you're charging for is the tuition for the education that will change their behaviors and change their life and their family's life forever.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the CEO portion of the podcast where we get to have a luminary from the chiropractic profession on. I will say personally, I've known Dr. David Fletcher from CLA since 2008. I've had the honor of having him as a coach. I've had the honor of having him as a colleague in this profession and really a luminary as far as a thought leader in chiropractic. And I'd like to say I also have the honor of calling him a friend. So
Absolutely.
if you have not known of Dr. David Fletcher, you're in for a treat. If you already know of Dr. David Fletcher, that's probably why you're listening right now. And just make sure you have your notes out. Make sure you're ready to learn about how to communicate chiropractic and how to utilize technology to serve the purpose of your practice. So, Dr. David Fletcher from CLA, just introduce yourself briefly to the group, and then we'll get right after it.
Well, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. And most importantly, what I love to begin with people when they ask that question is, I'm a chiropractor and I love being a chiropractor. And I think that my journey, which has intersected with yourself, TRP, CLA, and otherwise, has really embellished the relationship of the unique experience that we have a choice to embrace as chiropractors. And I thought we'd spend some time today, and it'll uncover who I am, really focusing on this principle of the cultural authority that we as either chiropractors embrace or we let dissolve around us. And so my journey was really one that busy guy in practice, didn't necessarily always know how to scale. I just took everybody and did a family practice, and which was wonderful. I have a background in some research advocacy and otherwise. So I was always on the hunt to know objective data that validated what we had, that was reproducible. And I came across the Christopher Kent and Patrick Gentempo, who were my mentors in the early days, and they had begun with Chiropractic Leadership Alliance, or CLA. As time went on, I became their academic advisor. I became their communicator, and I met so many wonderful chiropractors along the path. Eventually, I took over CLA, and that was years ago now, 16 years ago now. And as a result of that, I've had a wonderful ability to have that interface between technology, the principles of chiropractic, and the ability to watch the practices represent that through the growth and dimensions of growth.
I love that. So in the TRP ecosystem, we talk about the practice systems of attraction, conversion, retention, team building, and collections. There are also seasons of practice, from launching a practice to building one to scaling one, and then ultimately to exiting. As personally in my practice, I've utilized the CLA scanning technology since 2008. So I realize I'm coming to this with like almost a curse of knowledge. But for those that are listening that don't have that might be in, that have needs in any of those 5 domains, or if they're looking to move from build to scale, or maybe they have an eye on exiting, or shoot, how do I launch? Maybe if they're coming at this from a completely, like, they don't even know what we're talking about standpoint, please just take a second to talk about what is the technology that Chiropractic Leadership Alliance, that CLA has, and how can it be utilized in a practice?
Well, the intention was originally not to necessarily have a technology to sell. It was a technology to communicate. And the reason that was so powerful was that this cultural authority that I was talking about is and was getting dissolved. And we are starting to recognize chiropractic as more of a spine therapeutic rehabilitation model. When in truth, the philosophical model that drove us to begin CLA and to embrace that message was the principle of neurocentricity, meaning everything that we function in as human beings is relatable to the clarity within our nervous system, or coherence as we have it. So we wanted to help people understand that the impact of a vertebral subluxation went far beyond the spine, but was the source of the eminence of the expression of potential. And so we said, how can we identify where there are interference patterns within the central nervous system? So we focused primarily on the two largest divisions. Sensory is more subjective. So what we did was we focused on the motor nervous system by identifying how to read EMG as it relates to energy expenditure. And then we looked at the autonomic nervous system in two dimensions. One, the global set points, and we pioneered heart rate variability within chiropractic. And then we also utilized thermography to look at the spinal connection to the control of the organs and glands through the autonomics. Put it very simply, our 3-tech scanning gives you a 360 view of the ability of that person to interpret themselves in their environment and how much it's costing them to be out of sync with their environment. And it's a beautiful piece of technology.
Yes, that's great. And I loved what you said there, where we didn't create technology to sell, we created technology to communicate. And that's, from within the practice is what you're speaking of. It's not about how to sell more care plans. It's
not at all.
How to communicate with clarity what's going on in the nervous system. And I'll tell you, having certainty in communication is one of the biggest ways to retain people in practice. And this is one of the biggest pain points that we have in chiropractic is there's a lot of stuff out there about attraction. There's a lot of stuff out there about conversion and helping people commit to care plans. But in the retention world, yes, through Remarkable Practice, we have a whole set of systems on how to retain well, but at the core of that is having certainty in your communication with people. And I know for my practice, boy, the technology has paid for itself time and time and time again. If all I looked at was retention, not including attraction when I use it screenings, not including conversion when I'm able to communicate with people in their early care as well. Let's talk a bit from the business owner side of things, from scaling your practice, and by that utilizing, leveraging team where perhaps you were doing something before. Can you speak to the technology's power within a practice to allow the owner of the practice to leverage this technology and their team to take the practice to another level?
Absolutely. I think I got kind of quoted and famously sort of conceptually brought forward around this kind of conversation that says you get paid to the level at which you communicate and deliver with certainty. And one of the things that's so critical is that we're doctors. And what we are clinical scientists, each and every one of us. And what we actually get paid for is not identifying where a subluxation is or identifying where a problem is that we can interact with, but how we can manage a care plan. And to do that, what we need to do is have objective data that we can track and compare to, while at the same time bring our patients, clients, however we refer to them, into our world so they see that we have this tell, don't sell principle of what it is that we do. And one of the most important aspects of that is that objective data gives us the certainty. That's what we're going to get paid for, but it acts as an invitational platform so that people realize that you are delivering what you say you can deliver. And at the same time, they are embracing it so that they are deciding how they're going to let that impact their lives and change their lives around that. And that's always why we wanted to get into this whole model of interfacing easy to use technologies. Now, from a CEO perspective, it has to be efficient. It has to deliver the team relationship and otherwise. We have scaled this down so that it's wireless technologies. Yes, there's 3 different techs that we apply in one examination, but the examination takes anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes in totality. So there's no blocks. It's staff driven, meaning that the staff are trained and they can deliver repeatable exams, reproducible exams. So the doctor has the confidence clinically, has the certainty in communication, and has now what we refer to as a neuroplastic care planning, juggernaut that's sitting in there. So if anybody challenges them, whether it's on an academic level or on an insurance-based level or otherwise, there is a foundation now. And when we go to do volume-based practice, it's not even so much that that's what we want to do, it's that we have to do it. There's such an attraction to showing people what it is that matters, that when it comes to attraction, and you mentioned it, whether you take it into a screening environment or, most importantly, as you engage the 4 generations of every family within, with whoever's starting, this becomes the centerpiece of your practice. So attraction, conversion, the retention is based upon care plans, which is exam to exam to exam. And when you base it on that, the average therapeutic based PVA, if you will, is somewhere around 12 to 14. We look at our PVAs and we're in the 60s and 70s in our client base. And people just need to do the math on that. There's no hand holding. It's just, you need this, and here's what we're going to deliver. And so it makes the practice very fast, very efficient, very easy.
Yes. I love that. And as your average there, that probably means that the practices that have really learned how to leverage your technology along with systems end up far north of the 60 or 70 even.
Triple digits is pretty common.
Yes.
Just in terms of the embracing of it, we have 16,000 of these installations, in 26 different countries right now. The chiropractic profession has embraced this principle of a neurocentric approach to chiropractic. Listen, not everybody over the years has continued to evolve with it, but we know, watching the data sets come through, that we're looking at millions and millions of scans being delivered through our servers each and every year. That means that there's millions and millions of people hearing the story of chiropractic through a neurocentric, philosophically right managed model. And that makes us very happy, but it puts a lot of people in front of chiropractors.
Yes. I love that. So what I'm hearing as a user of CLA is, man, I'm glad I got in on this early, right? What I might be hearing if I'm listening to the reverberations of the CEOs listening to this, the decision makers listening to this, is, oh man, I'm glad we've been in this a short term, or maybe, holy cow, like I'm actually looking for more certainty in my communication. I'm looking for ways to utilize my team to help me leverage my time and my ability to serve people. And if I could have ways that help in attraction, in conversion, in retention, and in collections, like I should be all in on this, right?
Yeah.
And certainly, as an advocate of CLA and the technology, I'd say absolutely. I think what you've said there is the ROI is obvious. If you're a practice that's hanging out in the, teens, maybe the 20s with your PVA, just imagine, just do the math on your collection visit average on what it would mean for a case to take that to 60, 70. The ROI is obvious. And the how quickly you get that return back is going to be simply based on how quickly you train yourself and you train your own team systems to get this thing up and running and communicate it to your people.
Well, if we're talking business and numbers, let me share with you, as I came on the call, I thought, let me take a look. So I had my team look in the server banks, and I talked about millions and millions of them, and we divided, it was real simple math. We just divided the number of clients that are actively scanning, not just that we've installed with, but actively scanning in this, and said how many scans across the universe are being done. On average, this is on average through our network, 126 scans per month. Okay. Now, on average, each one of those, and some people are charging $300 a scan and other people are charging $30 a scan. But on average, we recommend that there's whatever you charge for a cash visit is what you would charge for a progressive scan. So let's just go on the low side that it's $50. The realities is that this is generating, in exams alone, not retention or not attraction or otherwise, It's delivering $6,600 each month in just exam fees associated with recurring examinations. On average, we have people that are doing 400 and 500 scans on a monthly basis. We have lots of those people. So just imagine the decision that they were making and putting those numbers in play every month in their practice just from exams.
Yes, absolutely. The math is easy, and the impact is huge. Right? The impact of communicating chiropractic in a way that people understand it better, they can go tell others about it better. It's why the technology was created, right? For communication. So at this point, hopefully people are wondering, how in the world do I get my hands on this stuff? So, thank you and CLA for being great success partners with the Remarkable Practice. Give the listeners a sense of how do they get in touch with you? How do they learn more? Or how do they get in contact with you?
Which is a wonderful way. So the website, which has won, I don't know how many awards, because it does a lot of really cool journeys that you can go on through it, is insightcla.com. And you will, I'm sure, put this on, the notes, et cetera, and whatever else. But in there, we also realize that, and I said it before, is that we're clinical specialists, each and every one of us. And so there is an entire library of downloadable ebooks. Obviously, the website itself profiles the technology, does case studies, and does a lot of interviews, if you will, with users that are in there. So testimonials and otherwise, get a feel for the people that use our technology. More importantly, go and download some of these fantastic ebooks that we've been able to present over the years. Dig in, and here's one of the most exciting things. Honestly, we don't refer to them as salespeople or representatives. They're inside advisors. Our skilled team really is somebody who's going to handhold you. And I used the term invitational before. We really focus on inviting people to see a critical shift, which we refer to as conversion. But it's this critical shift, not away from or dismissing where you are, but a shift towards this efficiency so that you can scale, so that you might find an exit that's faster than you thought it was. Chris, you talked about the seasons that we're in. We're all in them. At some point, it doesn't go on forever, meaning you practice. You got to make some decisions. Maximize your opportunities now so that when it comes time to scale and when it comes time to exit, you've made the right decisions at the front end of this career.
Yes. Excellent. Well, yes, be sure to check out the show notes. Those of you listening, be sure to check out insightcla.com for that information. And some of that's available even to people who don't yet use the technology. So
absolutely.
Check all that out. And of course, come to our immersions, where oftentimes you'll always see somebody from the CLA team, if not Dr. David Fletcher himself, there with us at the immersions. So.
I absolutely circle each immersion on my calendar. CLA loves being along with TRP in its journeys, and we've been doing it. I think we were the first success partner that was associated with TRP. So we have a long and wonderful relationship with each and every one of the. That's why, because we value the same things, and that's what makes friendships, but collaboration so perfect.
That's great. Well, on behalf of the Remarkable Practice, Dr. David, thank you so much for all you've done for the profession. Thank you for being here, continuing to serve the profession in this manner, and I look forward to seeing you at our next immersion.
Can't wait. Thanks again.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors.